Gleaming the Cube is a 1989 skater-American thriller film directed by Graeme Clifford, starring Christian Slater, Stephen Bauer, and the Bones Brigade.
I mean, it's ridiculous to think that there's going to be anything in 30 years. I don't know what's worse, you know? Being blown up in a nuclear war or having a 7-Eleven on every corner.
You want it to be just like you? I think maybe if I had your haircut, I could sell more policies. Or maybe if I had your mouth, I could close a deal every day.
Give him a break.
Giving them too many.
They love you, you know? Yeah, they don't know what to think of me. Maybe I am as bad as they say.
Who says?
Everyone.
You're different.
They're living under this illusion that life as we know it is going to continue forever.
I'm in trouble.
You got a B+ in calculus?
This is murder.
It was an accident.
They killed my brother.
You're not listening to me.
No, you're the one who's not listening.
It was a suicide.
They killed my brother.
No one knows anything except a kid on a skateboard.
It happened right here. I'm not lying.
You gotta hear what it sounds like from where I'm standing.
Everybody knows that you're blaming yourself for the way that he died, but I want you to know that your friends, they still think about you.
Somebody had to shake their tree. You said so yourself.
Oh, yeah. By the rules.
You got your team, I got mine. I guess we all do unexpected things sometimes, don't we?
Gleaming the Cube.
Totally rad. Welcome back to the Cult of Films, man. I'm John, the host, and as always, as of lately, I'm joined by my two other members of my skate team. We need a skate team name, and that's Coleman Yeti and Johnny Mulligans.
Thanks, brah.
I'm on a skate team now? Oh.
We'll be the Yeti Mulligans.
I'll drive the truck.
The Yeti Mulligans.
The Yeti Mulligans. Oy vey. All right. Back to 1989. Tonight we are talking about a film. This is a Coleman Yeti pick. So we have been wanting to talk about Gleaming the Cube for a while now, Coleman. Are you excited that we're finally doing this?
I am excited that we're finally doing this, as this movie is a classic in the vein of Casablanca, Citizen Kane,
sure,
and Gleaming the Cube.
All of those things are definitely on the same level. This is from Graeme Clifford. He's an Australian filmmaker. He is most known for doing like period piece films. Like I was looking at Graeme Clifford's like filmography, and this is the one outlier. He just wanted to do a totally rad skate film, which I think, at least in my early opinion, he succeeded. This was right when skateboarding was kind of exploding. This is when the Bones Brigade, which is the most famous and legendary skate crew, were doing like world tours. So the studio doubled down, giving pro skaters like Tony Hawk and Tommy Guerrero actual parts, while other legendary skaters like Lance Mountain, Roddy Mullen, Mike Vallely, and Mike McGill were acting for the first time. You had Stacy Peralta as the technical skating advisor on the film. And before we get into your guys' thoughts and special guests and whatnot, I want to start this conversation with a slightly pretentious film critic diatribe, as I've been known to do. This film really made me miss the filmmaking style of the 80s and 90s. There's nothing flashy with this film. It's not trying to blow us away with slick camera work, color saturation, or long tracking shots. The camera's presence is there to inform us of the story. Sure, it's filled with rad skateboarding sequences and exciting car chases, but there isn't any attempt to over-stylize anything. A film like this, and a lot of films from these two decades, relied on compelling stories and fleshed-out characters to do heavy lifting of the cinematic experience. Don't get me wrong, I'm here for every perfectly nulled symmetrical shot featured in almost all Wes Anderson scenes, or the perfect coloring and lighting of a Nicholas Winding Refn film. It's their cinematic language and truly an art form. But every once in a while, it's nice just to let the plot tell the story and the characters do the heavy lifting. So with that said, gentlemen, what did you think of Gleaming the Cube, a.k.a. A Brother's Justice, a.k.a. Skate or Die, or a.k.a. in the Philippines known as Challenge to Win Again?
To quote a famous narcoleptic.
Oh, no!
What?
I don't like bullshit. not from anybody.
Okay, so it didn't like grab my attention in the beginning. So by the time we got to absurdity in the end, I kind of didn't care.
Okay.
I can tell that this is, if you're a skateboard geek, I get it. You're seeing a bunch of legends that I can't name. John's clearly can. And it's cool, like they're doing all these skater trick stuffs, but when it comes to like, I don't know, it just like I wasn't, the story wasn't pulling me in. I was like, the acting wasn't really getting me. I don't know, it didn't grab me. Like, it wasn't.
You don't like the skater kid out to avenge his dead adopted brother?
Right. The opening sequence where the skater kids are skating across the airfield and bribing their pilot friend to go with what is a couple dime bags to go and find, scope out the local neighborhoods for which pools were empty. Right.
That's a thing that happened.
I'm sure I'm not saying it didn't. It just it's not working for me.
All right, Grandpa, you go back to sleep. Coleman, do we have any special guests tonight?
Tonight I am drinking semi-rad water.
Oh. Not totally rad.
Not totally rad, just semi-rad.
It halfway gets there. Grandpa Johnny? What do you have?
In staying on theme with the ageism, I'm drinking my Ardbeg, my last little scratches of good stuff. Yeah,
getting ready. Break the doers out after that.
Yeah.
No, I don't have any of that.
Some
I gotta
Cuddy
work
Sark?
through some Cuddy Sark. The worst I got right now is Chivas Regal.
Oh, excuse me. Oh, first world problems. Johnny Mulligans.
No, you can't. That stuff is not what it used to be. Sorry.
I am drinking a large beer called the Bear Mug. This is from Rubens. Ooh. It is a porter brewed with Kuma coffee. So a local brewery up here in Washington paired with a local coffery. How about a local? I don't know. What is a coffee brewery called?
Coffee roaster.
There we go, and they put a cute bear on it. So
coffery.
A coffery.
What the hell kind of shit are you talking about?
That's right, Coleman. That just happened.
It's a coffee coffery, and I haven't even taken a sip yet. L'chaim.
I want Terry Crews to do the commercial for that beer.
Power. Coleman, tell us, what is Gleaming the Cube about?
Gleaming the Cube is about a skater kid. It kind of follows his story. He has an adopted brother who's Vietnamese, who is he discovers something fishy at the company he's working for and accidentally gets murdered. And the rest of the movie is about this skater kid being super rad and skating all over the place while trying to solve his brother's murder.
Dun, dun, dun. And set in Anaheim, California, so you get to see Disneyland in the foreground, similar to like Sean Baker's like Florida Project, like that backdrop, especially because I kind of lived by there, so growing up in a Disney household, so I kind of knew every place and most of the streets that they were on, which kind of made it a little bit more fun watching this, but. Yeah, when you break it down, like Coleman said, it's kind of a generic, stereotypical thriller, whatever. It could have been whoever could have made it and whatever. But then the 80s like to mash that with whatever was like popular at the time. So you have these like skiing thrillers, you have these BMX thrillers of the time, and this was capitalizing on the explosion of the popularity of skateboarding. And I mean, just the fact that like watching it when I was young, it was so much fun because I was really into skateboarding and I had all these guys' pictures of the Bones Brigade, like Steve Caballeros, all them on my wall. But now watching it and just see like how much like legendary people are in like one frame, like it's the equivalent of like seeing, I don't know, the USA Dream Team in basketball, like the Olympic Dream Team in one movie or something, or like in one frame. It's for people that
called
like
Space Jam.
Right. Yeah. That's true. But yeah, this was totally cool. Like I think this one definitely held up. It does have some moments that kind of sag. It's not 100% riveting the entire time, like Christian Slater's hair. You know, it's very up and taut and erect at first, and then it kind of lays down. Kind of gets a little bit more relaxed.
Towards the end there.
Yeah, $10 million budget. It only made 2.7 at the box office. Kind of at that end of that post-Vietnam War, kind of film too. I mean, you had that little kind of small subgenre because it's what I think he said that his brother got adopted like 11 years before. So you think 1989, 11 years before that. So I always assumed like his brother was displaced because of the Vietnam War.
Yeah, I think
that's kind of a running theme. Throughout. They're discussing, how the whole thing that the general is doing is they're trying to ship guns and stuff over to Vietnam to help the whatever
to like reignite the Viet Cong.
They're
stuff,
still fighting. Like it's the soldier that the war didn't end for. He's covertly trying to, like there's a lot of alluding to it, and they show you the imagery, but they don't exactly like completely spell it out, but you know what's happening. By the time you get through all the pieces, you're like, okay, now I know what the cover-up is.
Is that a thing though back in the day? Like a real thing? Like was there a lot of like adopting displaced Viet Cong children from like Americans?
I think so. I think I'd have to go and fact. You can fact check me. That's fine. But what I believe was happening as the U.S. forces and the South Vietnam forces are exiting out, you can go and find documentaries of helicopters taking people off of rooftops. There was an emergency escape. They were flying people out on helicopters. There was South Vietnamese trying to get off the peninsula however they could, and they were actually flying civilians to the aircraft carriers to get people out of South Vietnam because U.S. forces were withdrawing and they were losing. They were ultimately losing. So yeah. I believe families were separated. I believe there was this mass exodus of South Vietnamese to California. So the premise that the main character's family has adopted a South Vietnamese child who may have been displaced and has lost their family, it's not unfounded. So historically, those pieces do add up. That makes some sense. As far as, the whole premise that some former South Vietnam colonel is trying to get U.S. weapons shipped back to his country through some kind of shady under-the-table operation, did that happen? I have no idea. Maybe. Who knows? But the baseline for the adoption does that, I think, adds up.
In the late 80s, there was whole cargo ships of Vietnamese babies just being shipped over here. Just crates full of babies. You just go down in the corner, someone might have a box full of them.
Just
hey, you
lined up like cordwood, whatever.
Pictures or it doesn't count. No. Like it leans hard into some stereotypes though. You have, the the burnout like SoCal white kids just like, yeah, I'm just here to, smoke weed and skate pools. And then the Asian, brother is of course like a expert accountant and also, could flip over like barbed wire and stuff on his little Vespa. It's like, oh boy, this sure didn't age well.
Ooh, a lot of stereotypes, just direct racism.
Yes.
I like that throughout this movie, they use really nice language for the most part. The cops talking to me is like, yeah, you're a screw up. It's okay, I was a screw up too, because they can't say fuck up or they can't swear, but they can use like awful racial slurs throughout. They can have a guy go, yeah, but they all look alike anyways, right?
Right.
It's all the same thing.
He's in the hotel room, right? He's like,
yep.
Oh, the China kid. He's like,
some kind of Chinese or something.
Just like, no, oh no. With the Matterhorn in the background, I'm sure Disney loved being part of that scene.
Yep.
Oy, oy, oy.
So, I was, I guess, far more acceptable back then to have all that overt racism.
Yikes. Let's talk about the shit that really matters. Let's talk about some of the cool, like, skateboarding scenes. Because, I mean, it was like, it literally was just like this kind of cookie cutter thriller, but then you had, like, literal, like, a skate video kind of spliced in with it. Best ones being, like, the pool one at the beginning. One of my favorite ones is Rodney Mulligans dressed up as Christian Slater. So Rodney Mulligans is the guy that kind of looks like Johnny. It's kind of a bummer that Johnny doesn't know who Rodney Mulligans is, but he does all the flatland tricks. He's like the godfather of all flip tricks and street skating.
I don't need to skate. Somebody who looks sort of like me already did it. Great, awesome.
And when I saw that, I immediately, like, just again based on the skating, I go, that's Rodney Mulligans. Mm-hmm. Nobody skates like that. He's the only one that has that style, and you can recognize it. And then
totally lost.
You know, the stunt skating was fun because there was one part where he was skating the half pipe. You know, when he was angrily skating it. It was a great part of this movie is something upsets him, and so you have a great skate montage where he just goes and angrily skates it out. Yeah. He gets inverted, and for some reason they put it in slow motion because it's clearly Tony Hawk.
Right.
Upside
they don't even care to
why
change
did you
the
put
face.
The stunt skater in slow-mo because I can just see it's Tony Hawk.
Yeah, they did that quite a bit. I mean, how cool is that, though? It's like all of his stunt doubles were different pro skaters. I saw an interview recently where Tony Hawk and Christian Slater were, like, out to lunch, and Christian Slater said, like, he had never even skated before this movie, so when he got cast, they're just like, you have 6 months to learn before filming, you know, do your best. So he got to a point where he did some of the, like, holding onto the back of the car, like skating that way, like skating around. That was mostly him. The things that weren't, like, he couldn't even do an ollie though. Like, so
yeah.
All right, so Slater did actually get on the board. We do see him skating in some of these scenes. Okay,
yeah,
right. He just didn't do any of the tricks. Right, it was just straight being able to skate. I actually watched that interview today as well.
Like that half pipe rage skating that you were talking about, and they went in the slow mo. I could be like, "Yep, that's the guy with the wig. It's not Slater. I get it. I get it. These are all.
You know who Tony Hawk is, right, Johnny?
I've heard his name. I can look his picture up.
Oh, what? Are you kidding me?
That's right. That's who walked into the room today.
He was the kid in the back of the plane putting Tony Hawk stickers on the plane.
Now watch it. Hi, Taylor.
I love it because this is one big advertisement for Bones. You know, it was Stacy Peralta's freaking company.
Oh, yeah.
And so he's the technical advisor. So they just jam all of their skateboards, all of their people into it. It's just one big advertisement for Bones and, like, all the skaters in there.
Dude, I saw this, like, these, I'm sure these are all famous skaters, and I can't tell you who they are. I don't belong in this movie.
I love the scene, too, like, when he goes to the friend's house after his board was, like, busted, and he creates him, like, the perfect board, right? It was like that scene from The Wizard where it was, like, the Power Glove scene. He's like, it's so bad.
It's like a 50-pound skateboard he put together, too. What the hell sense does diamond plate make on top of your skateboard?
Okay, there. I had to find out if that was absurdity or something people would geek out about.
No, that's absurd. It was just... That was just made to look badass.
Oh, no.
Yeah, I was like, all I could be like, oh, look, it's a skateboard that looks like Knight Rider.
But there's, like, a whole, like, subset of people on YouTube that recreate that board. Like, you could just, like, YouTube Gleaming the Cube skateboard, and there's, like, a whole bunch of people that have, like, hunted down the parts to recreate this board that probably goes, like, a half a mile an hour because it's so fucking heavy.
Oh shit! That's all I'm thinking when they build that thing is diamond plate is not functional as grip tape. Right. It's going to be way more slippery than just putting grip tape, which weighs nothing, compared to like 5 pounds of diamond plate you put on top of it.
It needed to be bulletproof though, so when he soared through the air over 4 lanes of traffic,
true,
to hit the guy with the gun that just sat there and looked at him in awe. He had the gun on him, but he's just like, "Oh my god!" And then,
what is this guy doing?
Kind of the best thing, yeah.
Yeah, it's a great movie. That's what I gotta say about it. It's a great movie. The plot is just there to like help you get to the skating. It's not, the plot doesn't even really matter that much. If you pick it apart, there's like weird parts where, like at the end when he's getting close to his brother's girlfriend, and then there's like a weird, it's almost like a love connection kind of thing going on between them, but it's his dead brother's girlfriend. Like there's a lot of weird shit if you analyze this too deeply.
Coleman, you that's it right there. There's plot to get you to the skating. This is a skateboarder's movie. This is not for the average, as you can tell.
No, it's not. And like John was saying, this was a thing in the 80s, and then Disney kind of took it up in the 90s, where it's like, let's make movies, because this is cool, so let's make a movie, and then we'll just throw a plot in around the cool shit that we're filming. So it was really about the skateboarding and showing all this, the stunt doubles are not good. Like anytime you cut to Tony Hawk being the stunt double, he's suddenly Christian Slater is now a head taller.
And 50 pounds less.
Yeah. But it's really...
It's funny when you go into IMDb, they have Tony Hawk's current image. Like you see him as he would probably look today. Mm-hmm. So you have to like comb through, be like, where? Oh, that's the young Tony Hawk, because it's been freaking forever.
Well, you just grab a chopstick and you go, oh, there's Tony Hawk. He's on a board. Like they called him McSqueeb for a reason. Like he was just he was like a beanpole. I was watching another interview where Tony Hawk was interviewing Rodney Mulligans, and it was a very recent one, and they were just kind of geeking out about Gleaming the Cube, about how just where they were in their careers at that moment, because I think Tony Hawk was only like 18 years old when this movie came out. So this was really, I mean, he was already winning competition. Obviously, he and Rodney Mulligans were already on the Bones Brigade, but they would just like mess around, and like Tony Hawk would be doing one of the, because he's known for like half pipe vert skating, and he'd be doing one of those scenes, and then he'd be watching.
Johnny doesn't know what that means.
That's why I am like, a vert skating is a half pipe, Johnny.
Johnny doesn't know what Tony Hawk looks like.
All you lamos out there.
But it was
gonna spell it out.
Yeah, they were just doing a lot of stuff in their own, in like each other's backyard, basically. Like he was just like watching Rodney Mullen scenes, and then Tony Hawk would he was shit at street skating back then, but he would start doing that because he was pushing him that way, all for filming this like little movie that wasn't supposed to really do much, which kind of didn't. Unfortunately, like I said, it only made $2 million, but it's such a fun time capsule. Especially if you were into skating and stuff back then, to see kind of, you could always watch like Dogtown Z-Boys and even like the Bones Brigade's documentaries, but they're just like, they were so popular, they threw them into like acting roles too. And it worked because they just kind of got to play themselves a little bit, even though like I think Tony Hawk and one other person had like actual different names in here, but for all intents and purposes, they were just them. Like the scene where they're going down the big hill with the Pizza Hut truck, like Tony Hawk's character is driving it, but they didn't have people that were qualified enough to skate down it, so someone else was driving it in that scene, and he was skating down the hill, which he got fucked up on. Like, this is a good segue to talk about the injuries on here. Tony Hawk wiped out so bad where he was like geeking out with Christian Slater. He was like, this is my Gleaming the Cube scar. Like all his like side, and the inside of his elbow is all fucked up. And Mike McGill, he was doing the stunt double work for Christian Slater. It was in that scene where Christian Slater is skating through the intersection, and all those motorbikes start like near miss hitting him. One of them actually ran into Mike McGill, like ran him over
and put him in the hospital.
Yeah, so the injuries were intense on this movie.
Yeah, fun fact, I also have a Gleaming the Cube scar.
Whoa.
From skateboarding down a hill that was too steep and laying out on the asphalt, just like Tony Hawk did in this movie.
Because you wanted to be like Tony Hawk. See, Johnny, these are people to aspire to be.
Sure.
What were you doing at 16 years old?
What was I doing at 16 years old? I was being a nerd, playing Magic the Gathering, being socially awkward. What did you expect?
I was doing that too.
I did not.
Yeah. No, the year I got a skateboard was, I don't know, somewhere in the 80s. And the problem with that era in my life is I didn't live in a neighborhood. I lived on a hill. And I had like this small little patch of driveway and then this gigantic hill down to a busy road. So it didn't really pan out. And it was one of those, like you were talking about big, heavy skateboards. One of those like funky, long, big, heavy skateboards with one lip on the end and a pointed end on the other end. And it wasn't a stunt skateboard. It was like, I guess, a cruising skateboard. I'm not talking like the big, huge ones, but it was not a professional board. It was something my folks got at, I don't know, Sears. Who knows where they bought it. It was just like, I didn't have balance, man. I couldn't do it. It was just a train wreck waiting to happen, and I didn't feel like getting hurt. So no, I'm sorry. Sorry, I can't be as geeky about this movie.
Are you goofy or regular footed, Coleman?
I'm regular.
Loser. I'm goofy.
Are you goofy?
Yeah, I'm goofy.
Does that translate to snowboarding?
Yes. Yeah.
I think I'm goofy.
Nice.
I was on a snowboard once, and that's it.
And which foot did you have forward?
I can't remember. It's too long.
Yeah.
I don't skate much anymore, but I do still ski and snowboard every weekend.
Nice.
All right.
I had the old school Power Peralta whale tail slick with the guards. I had like hot pink guards on the bottom and on the nose and tail. I think I had independent trucks. I had Bones Brigade, Rat Bones wheels. And then when I moved from California to Vegas, that same week that I moved, I met a new group of friends. And they're like, hey, we're all going to be playing Magic the Gathering. I'll trade you a couple decks for your skateboarding deck. And that was where the crossover begun.
You did what?
Yeah, that's right. I know. Traded this like $500 skateboard at the time for trash. Johnny, there was like all Portal first edition.
Oh,
yeah.
That means nothing
story.
to me.
Right,
I didn't even have. So my first board was just like a Veriflex.
Oh.
So like what Johnny's talking about, it's just what they sold at the store. And it was that same style where it was just one kick on the back. And then when I finally got a good board after Double Kicktails came out, I traded for fucking Magic cards, though.
So let's talk a little bit more about the actual other movie that's in this movie. And that's the crime cop gangster stuff, which I think all could agree was pretty vanilla. I just fucking hated Detective Lucero. I thought he was a total dick. And he was 2 steps behind Brian the entire time. He's just sitting there like flicking his ear, and he's just a shitty cop. The whole time I'm like, oh, he's going to be in on it, because there's no way that they would make one of the good guys this unlikable, and sure as shit, he was, I guess, one of the good guys.
Just really dumb. Kind of like that. You know what? He's the one who beat out the actors who ended up in Samurai Cop as the cops there. That's what I saw there. I was like, man, you could almost be Samurai Cop, but you're mediocre, not terrible. And you know what? It was the whole storyline where we've got the cop that's just really not the acting I think could have been better on that department, but also the guy running the medical supply unit. Like some of his lines, his mannerisms, I felt like I was watching a live action version of Scooby-Doo. Like, I could have gotten away with it, one for those darn kids. I'm like, wow, that Scooby? Hello, Shaggy?
I feel like he wasn't. I mean,
he sucked.
The purpose of him being, he did suck. I feel like the purpose of him being there was almost to be more like help Brian, Christian Slater, like clean up his act. Like, I used to be a screw up too, whatever. And like, that's what he was there he wasn't actually there to be a good cop. He was there more as a big brother type figure to Brian. It's how it felt to me, with the flicking of the ears and whatever, but also like, but I'm on your side, you know? So, but no, he's a shitty cop.
Total shitty cop. This guy was married to Melanie Griffith during this movie. Yeah, all the actors besides them. I love the dad, Christian Slater's dad. He was in a bunch of stuff. I can't think of his name off the top of my head, but he was just like 80s and early 90s dad. That was just like the role he played, and he was great.
Ed Lauder.
Yeah, that's him. Just besides that,
yeah, he's in a bunch of stuff.
The skaters and Christian Slater. And Christian Slater did, I think, pretty well. This was right at his apex of just being in everything. Like, Christian Slater is Mr. 80s movies. And, you know, he was doing Pump Up the Volume and Heathers and all this. He's likable in this. I thought he did a pretty good performance. Standard Christian Slater stuff. It was just the vehicle to get to the skating montages.
Right.
But I wish that it was more evenly distributed out. It's like chunks of skating. It's like you get the real good skating in the beginning and then like nothing, because then he's just trying to be more clean cut to kind of infiltrate the Vietnamese family's house to find out more about his brother, and then he gets more, and then it's more skating at the end. But I wish if it was just sprinkled out a little bit more, I think the overall experience would have been a little bit more exciting.
Although I do enjoy in the skating in the end when he's in like car chases and stuff. He's still got to do tricks in the middle.
Yeah.
Like you got to pop a little 180 here and
do a tail grab.
Still got to do tricks.
Talking about like at the end where he has his diamond studded board and he decides to go vigilante skater and crash through the window so the bad guy can actually get away, and he just kind of lays there in pain.
Also, how great is a car chase scene where one guy's on a skateboard, not a car?
Right, one guy on a skateboard holding onto a Corvette. And then just let it go of the Corvette to go under the 18-wheeler to the Pizza Hut delivery pickup.
Full of skaters. Yeah.
Totally realistic. But the problem was I didn't care. By the time we got there, I was like, oh, this is happening. Okay.
I also liked the fact that they didn't push the chemistry between the brother's girlfriend and him. They didn't push the relationship. They kind of hinted at it, but they kind of held back, maybe because they're like, these two have literally no on-screen chemistry, and it doesn't matter, but it does matter. And so it was more of like a friendship. Like, it came off as he was looking out for her because the brother was dead, and I liked that more than if they forced them to be a couple.
But there was just weird moments of it.
Yeah.
So it seemed like he was just looking out for her, but there's the moment where she's like, I like you, Brian. And like, there was just weird, awkward moments where I was trying to figure out, are they supposed to be romantically linked? Like,
I feel like she kind of wanted it a little bit more than he did, because she's like, oh, my parents said I can't, date white boys and all this stuff. And he's just like, hey, okay, just where's the Zippo? I just need to, get more information. And it's just like,
just leaves out, just leaves hanging out, just whatever. Just like, that's the other thing. There's these screw ups that seem like such huge throwaways where you just have to keep reminding yourself, it's a skater movie. It's a skater movie. I'm just watching for the skating.
When he's in the wheelchair at the end, and he's just like, yeah, don't go back to school until I could go with you to look after you. And then she's like, kind of has that doughy-eyed look, and it looks like she's going to go in for a kiss, and he just kind of like, boop. He like boops her snoot a little bit, like, yeah, that's not what I meant.
I'm not really into you either.
Well, Johnny, Christian Slater feels the same way about Gleaming the Cube as you do. He said he does not watch this movie, rewatch this movie very often. He thought it was a pain in the ass to film. He hated wearing the helmet.
It looked like a penis.
Yeah, he looked like a penis. There was a lot of editing involved where, like, that scene where he sees the Pizza Hut truck kind of roll up, and he's like, yeah, and he puts his fist up. He's like, there was no one there, and I felt so stupid doing that, like, over and over, like takes over and over again. They're just like, hey, stop real quick, and then just go, yeah. And he's just like, oh God, like he felt very cringy during this entire thing. So at least he agrees with you, Johnny.
Okay, that's fine. That means he's one of us.
Would you recommend this, Johnny?
I would. If you're a skateboard nerd, this is your jam. Man, you don't care about the plot. You want to see Tony Hawk and crew doing their thing.
You remembered their name. You remembered his name.
I remember Tony Hawk's name.
Hooray. Well, that's
Getting
something.
there.
We accomplished something tonight, John.
And instead of asking you, Coleman, if you'd recommend it, do you think it held up as much as you thought it might? Yes
and no. Obviously, there's all the overt racism stuff we were talking about, so it definitely doesn't hold up in that light. But as far as going back and seeing the skating and watching it, and yeah, like Johnny said, anyone that's a skateboard nerd, particularly any '80s babies who would be able to go recognize these people and recognize just the skaters based on how they're skating. It's awesome. So yeah, it holds up in that way.
Yeah, I would say if you're a kid of the 80s or the 90s, I would probably recommend this. If you're a Christian Slater fan or just skateboarding fan, any of that, it's just a really special kind of time capsule where this captures that era so well, where a lot of other films don't, and it didn't even try to. It just did that by simply casting. It was like lightning in a bottle as far as the casting went, about what was popular at that time. The actual plot of the movie is just, it's a throwaway. It's a snooze fest, but you're not there for that. You're there to see Christian Slater light something on fire and then shoot a skateboard into a propane tank. Like, it's as cool as it sounds. This is a totally rad film, and that's what it should be remembered as. So that is our digging up of this time capsule of Gleaming the Cube. Thank you, Mr. Coleman Yeti, for suggesting this one. And where can everyone find you?
Well, thank you for having me back, John. Everyone can find me at Coleman Yeti on Instagram and Twitter. And you can also find me on the channel Cascade Backcountry. The name has changed.
I saw that.
Where we do some outdoor adventures. We're going on one next weekend, like camping in the snow probably. So that should be a good time.
Thanks. All right.
Very cool. Grandpa Johnny Mulligans.
Aside from finding me on my front porch yelling at skaters to get off my damn lawn, you can find me on the Twitters at @JMulligans, and you can find me skulking around here. We said in the Cult of Film series, so there I am.
Rocking like a hurricane. You could find me right here because I live here. But you could subscribe to the channel. Don't be a dick. Hit the button. Hit the thumbs up button. Tell us that you like totally rad films like Gleaming the Cube and anything else that we talk about, because everything is totally rad.
And rad.
Follow us on Twitter.
Bodacious a word? Was that a thing back in the 80s?
What's that?
Bodacious?
Was
that or was that a surfer term?
I think that was more of a surfer term. Totally bodacious.
Whatever.
Bodacious babe. Follow us at The Cult of Films. You can follow me on Twitter at John the Host. Until next time, catch you later, Bill and Ted.